Welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast, a collection of inspiring conversations with the most interesting female entrepreneurs and small business owners. I'm your host, Lindsay White, and together with my incredible guests, we'll explore the struggles of being a female entrepreneur, the most important lessons, and the future of women leaders in business. And I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs be the calm, confident leader their team and their business really need. And that's why I've recently launched my 6-week mental fitness bootcamp. This amazing program will help you tackle your inner critic, tame that saboteur, tap into your sage inner voice, and help you build the mental muscles you need to quickly overcome the changes and challenges you're facing in your business right now. If you're ready to transform your leadership and your life, connect with me today at highvoltageleadership.ca/positive intelligence to learn more. My guest on this week's episode is Doris Yip. Doris is a fractional CFO and pricing consultant, but she focuses on more than just the money and can truly see beyond the metrics. She knows that when women make money, it's not just their businesses that profit, but their families and entire communities. She's also very passionate about growing the entrepreneurial spirit in young women so that they can capitalize on a variety of opportunities for personal and professional growth. And it's Doris's vision that she can bring her 25 years of experience to help all women build amazing businesses from the inside out. Doris has such a great story to tell. I just cannot wait to get into it today. Hey, welcome everyone to the Female Founder Friday podcast. I am really excited today because I have my friend Doris Yip with me, and she is a super powerful, super passionate fractional CFO. And she's got incredible background and experience working in organizations in that finance role, really driving success in the businesses that she's worked with, multi-million-dollar businesses, really with a focus on that finance and strategy perspective. So I'm excited to have Doris here to tell us a little bit today about how she got into this, fractional CFO space and how she became a female founder. So welcome, Doris. I'm really, really happy to have you here on the show today.
Thank you, Lindsay. I'm so happy to be here as well.
Yeah, awesome. So, I know a little bit about your journey because we are in a networking group together and spend quite a bit of time actually. But I'm sure that there's things I don't know. So I would love to hear about your journey to becoming a female founder.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have worked in corporate for 25 years, managed $1 billion of business. When COVID hit, I worked from home. I started seeing the trend of more and more women starting the business due to the fact that we have to take care of children, take care of elderly. And this is a trend that we more freedom for the women. So I see there's a need to provide more financial support for women business owners. And keep in mind, to start off the business first few years, it's been tough. And from statistics perspective, most companies fail. And most of the time is due to financial foundation, not as strong or understanding how they can optimize and running their business. Yeah. So I certainly see a need there. And secondary is I see women to use entrepreneurship as a way to bridge the wage gap in the company as well. And when women make money, we give and we provide, we support the community. So it really is an ecosystem. On a personal note, my children are in high school and their dream is to run their business as well. So I feel like I need to be a pioneer to kind of get it started, even though I have company running business for years, but now starting my own to help other women.
I know that that's something that you are super passionate about, is growing that entrepreneurial spirit in young people, particularly in young women, but young people in general. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. I think that I think as entrepreneurs, actually, that's something that we all need to be doing, is encouraging and mentoring and growing young people to see entrepreneurship as something they can do and they can be really successful at.
Absolutely. And also today's world, a lot of things have shifted. In my time, right, working in corporate, really the only only option. You
Yeah.
graduate from college, but now there's so much opportunities young people can take advantage of. So I'm really excited about young entrepreneurs really taking charge and
Mm.
really driving a new trend.
I love it. I love it. I think that that's actually. I think we really are seeing a growth in that kids. And I say kids. I mean, you have teenagers. I have like young adults, right? I call them kids, but they're grown-ups. But I do see
Right.
that, right? That they are seriously considering that. Do I really want to work in that corporate environment? And often the answer is no, I really don't. Or I'm going to work in corporate for a couple years to gain that experience because that's valuable. But their real vision
Absolutely.
is that they're going to start their own business at some point. So I love that you're so passionate about that. I mean, you've been doing this 25 years in the corporate world, now in your own practice as a fractional CFO. And this is a question I love to ask. Like, where have you made a misstep or a mistake or messed something up, Doris? Like, and what did you learn from that process? Because I think that's where we actually get so much learning, so much inspiration. So tell us your story.
Well, I think for me, working in corporate for so long, you understand the steps of running the business. What I didn't realize is when you're actually creating a business, you actually bring your whole self
Oh
in.
yeah.
That is not just about the mechanics. It's about what you're really passionate about and what you really wanted to do. And the mistakes I make early on is because I have helped so many different businesses. I tend to help everybody and then also just cater to what people need, but then not thinking about what kind of lifestyle that I really want for my business. It's not a job anymore. It really is a lifestyle. So I think we need to really reflect internally for what that look like and really create it from inside out rather than outside in. I think this is a common mistake for most people. Obviously, I didn't realize,
Ah,
but
yeah.
certainly a journey that I found out, which I'm glad I did because it's such a learning experience. And now I'm more in tune about who I am as a whole person. And I think I can serve better than just a job itself, but really bringing in what's really truly my mission, what I'm set myself to do in this world.
You know, I mean, I really love that. And that's a lot of the work that I do with particularly the female entrepreneurs that I work with and their businesses, like, and their teams, right? Because it is a shift. It's a big shift. And I love that you pointed that out. Like, working in a corporate environment, yes, it's hard work. You give a lot of yourself. But when you are the business, when the business is you, when that is so intimately connected, it actually is completely different than that corporate job where at some point your responsibility does end, right? Even if you're a very
Mm-hmm.
dedicated employee, that business is bigger than you, right? And you and I've worked in pretty big organizations, right? So there's a ton of other people. You're a cog in the wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you run your own business, man, that business is everything, right? And it needs all of you. So I really love that, Doris. I think that that's a really cool learning.
Yeah, it certainly is a journey, but I'm glad I caught it early.
Yeah.
So I can kind of pivot myself to really focus on what I really want to create. And the beauty is you are the business, you have flexibility to pivot and change and
Yeah.
how you wanted it. So that come with the freedom, but also come with the responsibility as well.
Yeah. I love the way you put that. Because you're right. I think sometimes, and I don't know if you saw this through the last, sort of almost 2 years with COVID, is that some entrepreneurs were really good at the pivoting. They could see the opportunity and really move into it, even if it was a challenge. And then there were others that really struggled with the change, and they were kind of stuck. They got a bit locked in. Did you kind of see some of that in the way? I mean, you work with people and their businesses all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think is what we have learned is whatever your business model is, how you make money, it changed so significantly with COVID.
Oh
You
yeah.
have to really stop thinking about how do we starting over and not try to build on what you have, because what you have may not even sustainable. So I think really take a lot of courage and also really monitor and really understand the numbers and the trends to say, what's that telling you? And then do a lot of testing. Because when you test, then you know where the opportunities are, then you can double down more. So I think really being a student of the business and continue to learn and not too comfortable, because the world changed really upside down overnight, right?
Yeah.
So I think the more nimble you are, the more open you are, that helps a lot. And also think about other ways that you can create other revenue sources. If you only have one, you really need to diversify. There are just so many different financial disciplines you can have looking into your business to really infuse the cash flow. Without the cash flow, any business is not going to sustain and last.
Yeah. That I think that's really I love what you said there, Doris, about, being a student of the business and not just, sort of being head down in the activities every day. You really do have to pull your head up, and especially as a business owner, as a CEO of your own business, you've got to get above the clouds a little bit and be at that 50,000 foot more strategic level, so you can see, right, and really observe and get curious about the different pieces and places in your business and be that student, have that like learning mindset, right?
Yeah, it's so easy to caught up to day because every
Right?
day gonna have some problems making decision. You can so caught into that, but without really have a macro bird eye view to really look at what's the trend, what's all going on, to really monitor and observe, you gotta get lost into the trenches very easily.
A lot of the work that I do with these small business owners that I love to work with is exactly that, because I think, and you tell me, I mean, we work in more of a service business, but particularly with those that have like a product, they are so passionate about that product or that app, or right. And that's why they got into business. They didn't get into business to be a leader or necessarily even to be a CEO, even if they knew that that's where they were headed. And so it's really difficult, actually, because especially when times are challenging, like they have been, what do you do as the boss? Well, you do what you do really well, what you're really comfortable at. So for some of the people I work with, it's sales, right? When the going gets tough, when business is tricky, what do? They go out and sell because they're a salesperson at heart. Or they get really technical because that's where they're comfortable, that's their happy place. But the truth is that if we neglect that strategy piece and the vision piece, all of that tactical stuff isn't, worth a whole bunch, right? Because we don't know where we're going.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like your work is to help them create a team.
Yeah.
And there will be people really good at visionary, blue sky thinking. But you need someone can do operation to make it real. So you have to have a diverse team to really complement the skills. I think that's where you come in, to help them nurture and building a team that you can really work together. And where the CEO had to get everybody behind the mission. So that's super critical as well.
Yeah, it so is. It so is. I love, but I love your perspective on that. From that finance space, right? Because the numbers, the metrics, the cash flow, like those are really important things. You've got to have those, but they're part of the bigger picture too. So I love that you're a CFO that sees beyond the numbers, Doris. I think that's really, really critical.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes people just really look at the number as a number, but not behind the scenes. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a revenue goal you meet, but you really look behind the scene about your customer profile, which is something I'm very passionate about. Who are the customer really contributing to your revenue? What are they buying? What's the average revenue for them? How much it costs to acquire them? How are you retaining them? So the whole client journey is also where most companies left money on the table because they think about a number they hit, but not behind the scene understanding the key metrics that really matters to ensure your business is sustainable. Ultimately, it's your customer. How much do you know your customer?
Yeah.
And I always say, know your customer, know the numbers. If you don't know that it's not going to be sustainable.
I'm writing that down. That's beautiful. Know your customer and know your numbers. That is a beautiful phrase. I love that. I think that's really important. Know your customer, know your numbers. And I would add to that, know your team. I mean, you just sort of said that, right? Know your team.
Absolutely.
Understand the key metrics that come from your team. What do they need in order to perform the best to serve that customer? Right? Because those are the people that, most of the time are interacting with our clients is our team members, right?
Absolutely.
So we got to make sure that they are set up to be successful, that they feel enabled, that they feel, like they've got all the knowledge and all the tools they need. And then, there's metrics that go along with that as well. That I think, again, lots of business owners don't really think about that, but you put all of that together, ask those powerful questions, because those are amazing questions, Doris, that you rattled off. And that in itself will drive the success in your business. And you'll retain your customers, but you'll retain your team members too, right? Like that's
it's so
those two
important.
things work together.
Yeah, the people, especially think about a team, the personnel cost is probably the bulk of any operating expenses.
You bet.
At the same time, the opportunity cost and if you lose a team, how much time and also money you actually try to retrain, that is a big investment. So nurturing the team is super important, but the metrics you mentioned is super critical because people come into work want to do a good job.
Yeah.
But if you don't really set a clear expectation, what does success look like? And it can become a challenging situation because your expectations don't align. That's when friction started.
Totally.
And ultimately, the client's going to suffer, right? Because that's where they need to be serving. So I truly believe in accountability, but it comes with the KPI and also a robust compensation strategy to ensure everybody's happy to compensate what they do. And if a happy employee, happy client.
That it, like, honestly, it's just as simple as that, isn't it? Right? If
Right.
you can build a really great high performing team and you can keep them engaged, like you said, so they get to show up and do their best work every day. And ultimately what happens, you end up with really happy clients, right? Because they feel well cared, your employees feel cared for, your clients feel cared for, and then the clients just say, take my money. Let me give you all my money, right?
That's why I love the strategy, because a lot of times people think about a CFO just dollar and cents, but actually a CFO, what we do is really look beyond really the strategy, all the pieces in the business to make sure they run well together. That's what I'm passionate about doing what I do.
Yeah, I love it. Your passion shines through, Doris, and I've worked with some great CFOs in my corporate world, right? I supported CFOs and COOs and CROs and all of the C's, and right, all of the C-suite, and so. But I do think when you have a CFO that truly understands that it's beyond the numbers, it's beyond the dollars and cents, it's really about bringing all of those pieces together. And using that data in a way that's really powerful and impactful, that is really a difference maker in the business. And your passion shines through, Doris. I love it. So tell me, the last question I always ask everybody is, what does leadership mean to you?
I think leaders here to break down the silos, help your team to elevate, because that's where you have solving the problem. It's not you prescriptive telling them what to do. They have to learn and come realizing it, so they empower to make those decisions. But there may be times any time with people, doesn't matter, a small team or big team, it will have some challenges. So your job is to break down those silos so that everybody can work together and really fulfill the vision. I think empowering team, I have been in many empowering teams. I also been in teams that is not functioning well.
Yeah.
So once you have those teams, I believe people can move mountains. So I think really focus on the people development is the number one job for any leaders. Doesn't matter if you're in corporate or a business owner. So focus on your people and really take pulse of where they are, because situation may change. They may have some personal situation, but really watching and supporting your team along the way, I think it will go really far for your business and also for everyone around you to really elevate.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I think you're right. I love you use the word empower a couple times. And I do think that that actually is key to being a great leader is not necessarily always doing, or, being the person that is at the front of the room or giving direction. Really, being a great leader is like enabling other people to lead when it's the right moment, like, letting them take charge, take the leadership role, removing those barriers, breaking down those silos. I mean, especially as we get into larger organizations, right? You get the marketing team and you get the sales team, and the two teams aren't really working together, but geez, they really need to be. And it is a leader's responsibility to create that connection and that collaboration, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very common.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's important to empower them in a way. It doesn't really matter. Anyone can lead at all levels. So even you bring in a contractor, maybe doing some VA work, whatever,
Yeah.
that person also can lead because that person know the work inside out. They can offer guidance and say, hey, I think this will be better than the other, than just taking orders. So I think empowering them to feel belong and also feeling adding value than just busy work is so critical. It doesn't really matter what job level they are, but I think everyone has a role to play.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what leaders' job to kind of bring them together, right? It'd be sticky to get them all together. So I believe in that. And also, obviously, team building activities, whatever those are, and it's all leaders' job to really understand the pulse of the team and bring everybody together, and also provide clarity, right? If there's any confusion, provide those direction. But I think with those focus, they will be happy, and your customer will be happy.
Right? Like, again, all of it leads back to it makes your client or your customer feel satisfied, feel well looked after when you have the right talent in the right roles, doing the right things, like knowing what they're responsible for. But also, you just said it, feeling connected to each other, but feeling connected to the vision. Like, why am I, even this most simple job, why am I doing this job? How does this impact the client? Right? We want to know. We want to know how what we're doing right now makes a difference. Right? And then as a CEO, even as a CFO, that's part of your responsibility at that senior level is to help people connect to that vision, to tell that compelling story, to help them see that what they do, even if they're a contractor, like you said, makes a difference. Right?
Absolutely. One quote I want to leave with is when we go apply for a job, like you're recruiting that person, really get them buy into your mission. But I heard a quote is like every day you try to recruit them to stay on, to really ignite the vision to be staying in the company. Because you started it, it sounded all exciting, but after a month you feel like what's all going on?
Yeah.
People can leave. So how do you really retain them and feeling connected is an ongoing job for the leaders. And I think not only the leader, but also empower the team members to create the environment. So it's not just all fall on the leader, but really create the culture that really nurturing and supporting each other. And I'm very big on culture and nurturing, and that's what I do. And we're in a lot of meetings together. That's really what I focusing on, getting people connected and feel belong, so we can all contribute and work together well.
Well, you're speaking my love language when you start talking about culture, because I think
I know.
that is my jam. Having a really compelling culture where people feel included, they feel heard, they feel respected, they feel like they can bring their best self to work every day. That I think is where the rubber really hits the road, right? You can get people to work on an assembly line and not talk to each other all day and go home at night, but you're not going to get their best work. You're not going to get their most brilliant self. It's really creating a space where people feel like their values are matter, that they can see themselves in that vision, that they can feel like they are rewarded for their work appropriately. You know, all of those pieces are important to creating a beautiful culture. And that I love it when I hear other people talk about how important that is, because that's like my whole mission, is to get beautiful female-led organizations to have these really inspiring cultures, because that's when people deliver, right? That's when they really make the magic happen. So I love that. Doris, that is just brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, and for just really bringing the passion for the fractional CFO role that is really, really critical to these, smaller organizations that are really ready to grow and have that great foundation. And I know that you just pour all of your passion and all of your knowledge into those businesses. And I love that.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing what I do, and also supporting the women to fulfill their mission.
Yeah.
Because we have so much heart to really create something bigger than we are. So I feel so compelled to support them with the journey as well. And part of it is to help educate people about CFO is not just dollar and cents. And I think a lot of stuff that I talk about is really the engine of the business, that all pieces work together. So, and your work is so critical with team and kind of the culture component. Then my work is kind of complemented with the metrics and compensation plan and everything, all bring it all together. So it's kind of the art and the science all kind of combined.
Yeah. Beautifully said, Doris. Beautifully said. And it is, that's why we have such a great connection. That's why we have so much synergy, because we see the same, we see the same momentum from, and bring slightly different expertise to the table, all focused around, that this is really critical for particularly for female-led organizations. I know we're both passionate about that. So that's absolutely beautifully said. Thank you so much again for being here on the show today. It's just been wonderful to have you as a guest.
Thank you so much for having me. I have such a great time, and we can talk about these topics all day long.
It's so true. It is so true. We'll have to have you back again, Doris, as a guest, so we can talk more.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Have a good evening.
Yeah, you too. To everyone tuning in today, thanks again for listening to the Female Founder Friday podcast. I really love Doris's belief that you can combine the metrics and the culture to create a really beautiful and connected business. And you can find out more about Doris and what she does on Instagram, and her handle is at the Doris Yip. And of course, you can find me on Instagram too, and my handle there is at High Volt Leadership. The Female Founder Friday podcast has a goal to impact 1,000 listeners, and it would mean the world to me if you left this episode a 5-star review and shared it with all of your friends. Let's engage 1,000 female entrepreneurs and really amplify the message. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, and don't forget to connect with me at highvoltageleadership.ca.